Right, so picture this. It's late Tuesday night, May 26th, 2025. You've got a test tomorrow, maybe. Maybe it's calculus vectors giving you grief, or you're trying to nail down, I don't know, Chromium's electron configuration.
Right.
And you grab your phone, go to tap that Byju's learning app icon, the blue and white one, except it's just gone, vanished from the Google Play Store.
Yeah.
Kind of throws you, right? Especially if that was like your main study buddy.
It really does. And this isn't, some quick glitch or the app being down for maintenance. What you're going to dig into here is the real story behind why Byju's a name that, well, probably rings a bell for you or someone you know.
Oh, definitely. They were huge.
I mean, they were basically the face of Indian EdTech for a good while. Why their main app suddenly got yanked from such a massive platform. It's a big deal, and there's a lot going on underneath.
So let's just cut to the chase then. What's the core reason for this digital disappearing act?
Well, from everything we're seeing, it really boils down to unpaid bills. Simple as that almost.
Unpaid bills to who?
To Amazon Web Services, AWS. Now, AWS, maybe not a name everyone knows offhand, but they are essentially the engine room, the invisible plumbing that keeps an app like Byju's running.
Okay.
So think of it like, I don't know, the power company cutting the electricity to a whole building because the bill wasn't paid. Everything inside just stops.
Wow. Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
And, to really get why this is so shocking, you have to remember the scale Byju's operated at not so long ago. We're talking a $22 billion valuation.
22 billion.
Yeah. And serving over 150 million students. That kind of peak makes this sudden vanishing act, well, frankly, pretty jarring. It makes you ask, how does a giant like that end up, unable to pay its server bill?
It really does. So, okay, the app's gone from the Play Store. What does that mean right now, like, for the students actually using it?
The impact is pretty immediate and disruptive. So for starters, anyone new trying to download it on Android, nope, can't do it. But the real kicker is for the existing users. Loads of them paid for premium access, right? They're now hitting errors trying to watch videos, do quizzes, get those animated explanations that were kind of Byju's signature.
Oh, that's infuriating.
Yeah, it's like your Netflix subscription suddenly saying, access denied, you paid for it, you need it, and it's just gone.
So frustrating. And is it just the main learning app, or are other Byju's apps affected too?
Well, that's the thing. There are other apps, things like the exam prep one, Think and Learn Premium. They're technically still listed for now. But yeah, we're hearing lots of reports about glitches, server issues, things being unstable.
Yeah.
It's like, if the main power goes out of the headquarters, the branch offices start having problems too.
Right.
Everything's interconnected.
Okay, and just to be clear on AWS, what exactly do they do that's so vital? You said plumbing, but break that down a bit.
Right. So think about all the stuff Byju's has. Tons of video lessons, interactive exercises, all the data on millions of students' progress. AWS provides the digital storage, massive warehouses for all that data.
Okay, storage.
And importantly, that they also provide the highways, the network infrastructure for all that content to get from their servers to your phone or tablet smoothly when you hit play.
Gotcha.
So when Byju's doesn't pay AWS, it's not just like forgetting a small bill. It's like the landlord changing the locks on the entire building because rent is months overdue. The whole delivery system just collapses.
That paints a very clear picture. Okay, so we get the what app's gone, AWS bill unpaid. But the why? How does a company once valued at $22 billion get here? What's the backstory?
Yeah, the why is it's complicated. To really get it, you got to rewind a bit. Back to 2011. Byju Ravindran, the founder, he was this really engaging teacher, right?
Yeah, I remember hearing about him.
And the company initially just exploded. They tapped into this deep desire from Indian parents to give their kids the absolute best education. And they did it with these flashy videos in a really slick app.
They really did catch fire early on. It felt kind of revolutionary at the time, how they were packaging learning. But somewhere, things obviously went wrong.
They did. Over the last couple of years, a whole cascade of financial problems has started surfacing, this AWS thing. It's really just the latest symptom, maybe the most visible one.
So other issues too.
Oh, yeah. There have been reports of significant debts to other vendors. I even remember reading about issues with their phone services Vodafone idea, I think reportedly being cut off because of unpaid invoices.
Wow. Okay, so not just AWS.
Exactly. It points to a much broader pattern of financial difficulty.
That sounds like more than just sloppy accounting.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it goes way beyond just operational bills. You've got the whole very public $1.2 billion loan default. That's led to some nasty legal fights with lenders in the U.S.
Right, I remember reading about that.
Then you've got investors suing them, which, signals a serious breakdown in trust and disputes over management. And just to add another layer, there's that $18.5 million dispute with the Indian Cricket Board over sponsorship money.
The BCCI deal, yeah.
So it's like pressure coming from everywhere. Lenders, investors, even major partners.
Yeah.
It paints a picture of a company really struggling to keep its head above water financially.
It sounds like a total mess. And now there's this insolvency resolution professional involved, Shailendra Ajmera. What's his job in all this?
Ajmera's role is basically damage control and assessment. He's been brought in under India's insolvency laws to try and figure out if the company's finances can be restructured, if there's a path forward, or if it's heading towards liquidation.
So like a financial referee or maybe a cleanup crew.
Kind of like a strict uncle stepping in after someone's blown their budget completely, maybe. He's trying to sort through all these competing claims and debts. The fact that a critical bill like AWS went unpaid long enough for the app to be delisted, well, it suggests just how overwhelming the financial chaos Ajmera is dealing with must be. Essential payments were likely getting lost in the shuffle.
Okay, so turning back to the students and parents, for them, this wasn't just some app they used occasionally, right? What was its actual role in their education?
Oh, absolutely, not just occasional use. For millions, the Byju's learning app became like a core part of their daily study routine. We're talking classes 4 all the way up to 12.
Wow, that's a huge range.
Yeah, covering subjects like math, physics, chemistry, biology, social studies, especially in those middle school years, classes 6 to 8. And it wasn't just school stuff. It was a major tool for kids prepping for those super competitive entrance exams.
Like JE and NEET.
Exactly. GE for engineering, NEET for medicine, even the IAS exam for civil services.
Yeah.
It positioned itself as this sort of Swiss Army knife for Indian academics, your one-stop digital tutor.
And now that digital tutor has basically ghosted them.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Students who got used to those animations making tough concepts click, or the lessons broken into bite-sized pieces, they're suddenly left scrambling. It disrupts their whole flow.
And the parents who paid for premium.
Oh, they're understandably furious. They paid good money for those subscriptions, sometimes quite a lot. Now they can't access the content, and they're desperately looking for alternatives, especially if exams are coming up.
I can only imagine the panic for some families.
Absolutely. And it's not just Android users feeling the pain. Even the iOS app, while technically still in the App Store last I checked, is reportedly having back-end problems because, well, the engine room's down.
Right. The AWS issue affects everything.
Exactly. And their website, too, it seems much emptier than it used to be.
Yeah.
Almost like a shop that's clearing out stock.
Yeah.
If you look on social media like X, you see tons of posts from users saying, hey, I paid, I can't get in. Lots of anger, frustration, and even some dark humor about the whole situation.
So this is hitting hard personally for a lot of people. And Byju's, it wasn't just any startup, was it? It felt like a symbol of something bigger in India.
It totally was. Byju's became this poster child for India's whole startup boom, especially in EdTech. During the pandemic, when everyone shifted online, their growth just went vertical.
They were everywhere.
They made huge acquisitions, buying up established names like Akash Institute, Great Learning. They raised billions, literally billions, from top global investors. And like we mentioned, sponsoring the Indian cricket team. That put their logo in front of, well, everyone. They seemed unstoppable for a while there.
So seeing them stumble like this, that must be sending ripples through the whole Indian tech scene, particularly EdTech.
It certainly is. I think Byju's troubles are acting as a pretty stark warning for the entire EdTech sector. It's a reminder that the pandemic boom wasn't permanent, funding has tightened, and you absolutely need a sustainable business model.
Right. The fundamentals matter.
Exactly. The delisting has definitely kicked off a lot of chatter online, especially on X, about, where does EdTech go from here? And the absolute need for better financial management. I actually saw one post kind of pointed saying maybe Byju's needed a lesson in accounting themselves.
Ouch. But fair, maybe.
It sort of captures the mood right now.
So is there any chance of a comeback? I think Byju Ravindran himself mentioned something about a Byju's 3.0. Is that realistic?
Well, he has floated this idea of Byju's 3.0, which sounds like, an attempt to reimagine the company, maybe pivot somehow. And look, having a vision is one thing.
The reality.
But the reality is they face, frankly, enormous challenges. They have to sort out these massive debts, somehow rebuild trust with users who feel completely burned, and fix the fundamental technical issues stopping people from even using the product. It's hard to focus on learning innovation when you're buried in lawsuits.
It feels like climbing Mount Everest in flip-flops.
That's not a bad analogy, actually. It's like trying to design and launch a fancy new car model while your main factory is shut down and on fire.
Right.
People sometimes bring up examples like Nokia, how they pivoted dramatically. But Byju's situation feels different, more acute maybe, because their core service just stopped working for millions overnight. It's a very, very tough spot.
Definitely. Now, just quickly, what about Google's role here? Taking down an app this big, they don't just do that on a whim, presumably.
No, definitely not. And Google has taken action against apps before overpayment issues. We saw it with some other big Indian apps like Fire Up Matrimony and Naukri related to disputes over Google's billing policies.
Okay.
But in Byju's case, all the signs point to it being a more straightforward, you didn't pay your AWS bill, so your app infrastructure doesn't work and we can't host a broken app kind of situation. Still, it underscores the immense power these app stores, Google and Apple, have. They're the gatekeepers.
Yeah, they control the access.
When they pull the plug, it has huge immediate consequences.
Absolutely. So, looking just ahead, the immediate future. What does it look like for Byju's, and maybe more importantly, for those students left hanging?
For Byju's itself, the immediate future looks incredibly uncertain. Getting the main app back online depends entirely on settling that AWS debt, and who knows when or if that will happen given everything else going on.
And it sounds like that's just step one.
Exactly. Their core product is effectively offline for new Android users and glitchy for many existing ones. The other apps are shaky. It's precarious. Resolving this, if they can, will take time and serious effort.
And for the users, the students, the parents, what should they be doing now?
Yeah, for you listening, especially if you or your kids were relying on Byju's, now's probably the time to seriously look at alternatives. There are other good platforms out there. Khan Academy is often free. Unacademy, Vedantu, others too. Explore those options.
Don't wait around hoping Byju's magically reappears tomorrow.
I wouldn't recommend it, no. For Byju's, if they want any kind of future, they need to do way more than just pay AWS. They have a mountain to climb to rebuild trust. And for the wider EdTech world, this whole saga is a massive lesson in, well, growing responsibly.
So, wrapping this up then, the Byju's Learning app vanishing from Google Play wasn't just some random tech issue. It's a really clear sign of deep financial problems plaguing a company that was once an EdTech titan.
Yep.
It's directly disrupting learning for countless students and throwing a harsh spotlight on the sustainability questions facing the whole sector after that pandemic gold rush.
Precisely. And it leaves us with this big question, doesn't it? Can a company that flew so high, crashed so hard, actually find a way to rebuild itself? Or is this story more of a cautionary tale? A reminder that even the biggest names need humility and, more importantly, sound financial footing to survive in the long run. It's definitely something we'll be watching.